And here I will change to a tube. So I can.
Welcome. Maybe some other people will join in later, but let's start anyway because I think you're on the schedule.
Yes. It's all right there.
Well, we have some new products here at this year's ProLight and Sound. Actually, we have two brand new products. I just want to quickly run through the major features and do a little hands-on demo afterwards. The first product we introduce this week is the B Station. It's a remote control button panel in which you can select lighting scenes or other recorded content inside our Q-Core solid-state controller. So this is another module in our solid-state family of products. The unit is wall mount. It has 6 push buttons which are backlit with white LEDs. With some wall mount connections here. It's networked with an Ethernet cable and it's powered by power over Ethernet. To configure the unit, you just take a browse to the IP address of the B Station, and via the web interface you can program it completely. When communicating from the B Station, when we press the buttons, we send out messages, and when communicating to the Q-Core, we use open protocols. Protocols like UDP or OSC or ArtNet. And particularly OSC is a protocol that we started using when we launched the Q-Core 2 years ago. And we found that it's a perfect protocol for show control and triggers. And it's really wonderful. It fits really well in the lighting environment. So the primary function of the B Station is to remote control Q-Core systems, but because we're using open protocols, we can actually control any system. It doesn't necessarily need to be a Q-Core. It can be a third-party media server or audio system. Because of the open protocols, everybody can support it. But there is a second purpose to the box. It is also a standalone lighting controller for small architectural jobs. So maybe you have a bar or a restaurant with some LEDs. You can just use it on its own. Those were the kind of the jobs that we sometimes missed out on the Q-Core because the Q-Core could be overkill, sometimes too complex or too expensive. And now we have a standalone controller that fits that market better. If you use the standalone, it's just 512 channels of control. You have 32 fixtures. It's actually via the patch page, you can actually patch the lights. Now give it a name, a starting address, specify the profile, and in the list of profiles you see mainly architectural type of lights. RGB, amber, white, intensity. And then you have 6 different cue lists you can program. Each cue list can have up to 128 steps. And those cue lists you can also use to create different zones. So if you imagine the example of a restaurant, then you can say one zone is controlling the dining area, the other zone is doing the facade of the building or the bar, all from this one small box. And what's quite cool is that the B Station actually has an effect generator built inside. So you can create random color rainbows or sinus or twinkles. It's very easy to create them, just click them and yeah, hopefully you'll be done programming quite quickly. So when you use the B Station you can use it for different sizes of systems. For small systems you can just use it on its own. You can control the lighting fixtures directly. You just need to power it by an injector. And for slightly larger systems you can use a Q-Core. Store all your lighting scenes inside the Q-Core, which has 2 outputs, so it has more capacity, and use the button station just to trigger and select the different presets. Or for even larger systems, you can use multiple Q-Cores, an array of Q-Cores, just as many universes as you need. Even perhaps throw in an I/O core to respond to some sensor readings, and you can even use multiple B Stations. And the second product we're launching this week is QLux Pro. And QLux Pro is the big brother of the smaller QLux we released a couple of years ago. The QLux Pro is aimed for the professional market. That has a lot of professional features. Similar to QLux, it is running on Windows, Mac and Linux. It's natively cross-platform. The user interface is designed for touchscreen use, meaning all the buttons and sliders are big enough for finger control. And it networks together with the Q core, the I/O core and the new B station. Actually, the software license is inside the Q core, meaning you need at least one Q core to run the software. There's a fair number of protocols we support in QLux Pro. Of course, DMX and ArtNet, but a lot of more protocols to interact with different systems and to create a big automated system. Again, UDP, OSC, and this time actually we use OSC not only for triggering, but we also embedded an OSC implementation inside the software, so you can use OSC to remote control any button or any slider in the software user interface. So this could be your ultimate rigorous remote, where you're free to walk around and use the software on your iPad. We got good support for MIDI. We're actually supporting multiple MIDI services to enrich your user interface. We've got an example of there. We're using a VCF for some playback faders and a launchpad for playback buttons. It's quite a nice combination. And we have Visual Touch, which is our foolproof touchscreen user interface. RS-232. If you hook up an I/O core, you have access to GPIs, GPOs, and we also synchronize with SMPTE and MIDI timecode. Other professional features you would expect in such a program are palettes, command line, very quick recording. If you've made a scene in your program where you can store it really quickly, that's something we developed on QLux and works really nicely. With customizable banks, you can add them, remove them, rename them. And we have a timeline editor, which is quite nice to program intros or openings, songs, synchronize the music or other techniques or so. And quite a major feature of the software is a matrix pixel mapper. You can actually control multiple matrices in the software. We put in quite a number of algorithms which will grow over time. And we support external media files. We now have static images that you can render and rotate and do tricks with. And in the upcoming release we'll have video support. The nice thing is that when you are using the matrix functionality in the software, it behaves like a picture. I'll demo it later on because that gives quite a nice touch to it. But also QLux Pro you can use as a programming tool to program the content of a Q core if you intend to use it for a standalone project. Previously you always needed an external console to record your scenes and make your recorded shows, but now you can just program it in the software and with one mouse click dump it in the memory. And then the software will take care of making sure that the effects are seamless when they loop. And if you have multiple Q cores, then the software will cut the content into pieces and make sure that each piece ends up in the right Q core. My Qs. Select one Q list. I'm selecting a Q. I'm going to say that in this zone all my fixtures are present, and I can just start making my Q and just make it run. And you see the content. And I can specify my phase. I can specify whether the Q lists are looping or one shot. There's a master intensity. I can set the Q list to HTP or LTP. But what is quite nice is to use the effects generator. So you can select, for instance, a sinus. For instance, you can go use the offset to spread them out, or perhaps use the twinkle effect. There's a color random. rainbow. And all the typical effects you can do with LEDs. And, yeah, hopefully it just means that you're finished more quicker when installing it, and then the job becomes easier.
Very easy.
Okay. Now, so these were the two products we have new this week. And if you have any more detailed questions, we can stand behind the demo station and go through it. So, thank you.
Thank you.